Hello everyone. So in this video I'll show you the execution of the script. So our script that we want to execute is main.py. There is a sample exploit file that I have just created in order to provide the argument. We'll actually take another example in which I'll show you the working of the exploit. So this is the file that we will be actually providing as an argument to this particular script. Okay, so for this moment let's get started. I can show you the template file that we'll be using. So this is the host directory, that the shared directory that I am trying to share with the virtual machine that will be getting created. This contains this Vagrant file for this moment. So the basic template. I want to see if I have any box present or not. There is no. So now I'll actually try to execute this main.py, the file name. So if you don't give this, you might face so it will just let you know that you have to provide a file name. So this thing can be modified because in this case we are just copying the exploits into the virtual machine. This is not mandatory. You can, even after logging into your virtual machine, you can duplicate the code, the execution code which you want to test, and you can compile it and run there as well. But this is just a simpler, it was the initial design that started, so I am sticking to it. But you can actually modify the program not to take the file name as an argument. In that case you will have to duplicate the exploit in the virtual machine. So we'll begin with the run. So this is our file. Now the name of the box that you want to be, let's say I said I'll be installing this version. So let's say this is the name of the box that I want to give to the particular thing. Now the URL of the box that I want, I'll be taking a public repository in this case. So this is my public repository. This is in the Vagrant boxes. So this thing is publicly available, but if you want to create a custom box, it's a base box of Ubuntu 12.04.2. If you want to create a custom base box, then you have to take the ISO and all the steps that you have to proceed, all the steps that you have to do in order to create the box. So that would be a manual process, but in this case, since we have the Ubuntu and the kernel that we actually require in order to run this, so we'll be taking this public repository. Absolute host shared folder name. So in our case, this is the not this one. So this is the shared folder that we want to provide. So this was the argument. Memory by default takes 512 MB. If you don't give, it won't replace. So for this, the default value has not been set, so that can be done again. But safe side, you can provide the value. So this will allot 512 megabytes of the RAM for the virtual machine. Do you want to install a new kernel? So as I said, you can either put N or blank. In either case, it will say default is no. Say how many Puppet modules you want to install. Say I want to install an Apache module into my machine. So number of modules is 1. Enter the module name and version if any. So if I want to search for an Apache version, suppose I want to look for an Apache version, I'll type this command. Of course, Puppet has to be installed into your machine. When I do this, this will fetch me all the list of Apache modules that are present in Puppet Labs. So this is the most common one, and this is that is installed in my machine as well. So I'll be using this. We are not providing any version, so it will install the automatic latest version. You can provide a version, but the version has to be specific, 3 digits or whatever is the version case. So it will fetch the version which is lesser than or equal to that particular version. So in this case, we don't provide any version, and we only want one module. Now see, this thing shows that the module is already present in your machine, so you don't have, it will not install. So in case this thing is not present in the machine, it will go and fetch the modules from the Puppet Labs. Enter the list of sudo packages that you want in VM. I don't want anything at this moment. I just want to create with the default thing, so I won't give anything. Please ensure that default pp is correct. Now this is an important file. I'll show you how. Now I'll show you the output file that has been created. So as you can see, these are the three files that are created at this moment: Vagrant file, puppet.sh, and provision. Now this puppet.sh already got executed. It tried to check for the modules, tried to find this, whether it's present in the machine or not. If this thing fails, then it will go for installation, otherwise it will let it be. This is the provision file that has been created. So these are the basic commands that is present in the main.py script. So you can modify any bootstrap sort of stuff. So if you want something that you want it to run mandatory at every point of time, you can provide it in the main.py. Otherwise you can provide it while it asks for arguments. And this was just for the case, as I mentioned in my earlier video, that when you try to create a kernel, the shared property gets destroyed. So this was just a safeguard to do that, but you can remove this as well. It's not that required, but yeah, in any case, it's not that important. So now we have these three files that got created at this moment of time after running main.py. If I see the host file, I can see that I have these three names, three exploits that got copied. So these are three exploits, and these were the exploits that we actually provided in our file. So this thing got copied in the shared directory. Now once I log in to my machine server, these you can find all these things in the shared directory of your Vagrant. Now let's get started. So at this moment, in order to start your machine, the command you need is vagrant up. So what it will do is it will fetch the Vagrant file, and the exact name should be there. It will fetch the Vagrant file, and so this box name could not be found, so it will make use of the URL that you have provided in order to fetch the box. And now we have to at least wait some time because my net is a bit, it plays games, so we'll wait for it to finish, and then I'll point out if anything additional comes up. Just to make a point, this URL I got it from the public repository vagrantboxes.com. So this thing was available. This is actually a pre-installed base box that other helpful people have created and provided it publicly so that people can use in order to test it or in order to do their work. So it makes the life simpler, and yeah, so you don't have to do the all hard work of taking the ISO file, creating it on VirtualBox, and then doing it again for your machine. I actually forgot to show you guys the if you go to this, so this is the Puppet directory that we'll be accessing in order to do things. So this module will contain all the modules that you install through your Apache, through your Puppet Labs. So you have to provide this path specifically in order so that your Puppet modules get installed into this directory only. And manifest is the directory which will contain your particular thing. So you can actually provide a specific name to begin with, so there will be an entry point into the Puppet modules. By default it's default.pp. You can provide anything. So Puppet modules, while trying to install something inside the virtual machine, will actually start with this particular file. So whatever is present in this, it will actually try to fetch it. So in this case I have just included Apache just to show you how it works. In case you want other modules, you can install it through Puppet Labs and then mention it in this particular default.pp. And you can also provide dependencies, but since we are going on the basic level, this is the basic version. So you can modify this default.pp, and you have to modify because script does not handle any dependencies between these packages. So it will install you the modules that you want, but it won't create a dependencies between them. So that's pretty much about it. So now in this case, this is the actual processing that's whole going on for installing the virtual machine. So these are VirtualBox guest additions. So this is an important part of VirtualBox, because if this version, the version of this VirtualBox in your, like we see this thing here. So the guest addition, the guest version and the host version differ. So this is the guest version, and the one present in my machine is this. So there are additional steps provided in order to make these versions similar, because it has been mentioned that it actually creates problem later when the versions don't match. But for our basic simple case, it won't create any problem, so I have let that be. But there are certain steps where you can actually download the proper version virtual guest box additions and install it within your guest machine, and you can mount it. So there are separate steps for that, but in this case we won't bother much about that. This screen is actually going below, so it's actually going on. So yeah. So now this is the shell script that started. So the way provision works, it follows the order. If you the provision which comes first get installed first. So in that case, that's the case. So this is all the, now everything will be taken care of by Puppet. This is a Here file, but we don't use that. We haven't used it because we don't need that, because it actually takes everything from this default.pp. So there is no problem. Now these are all the steps that are going in order to ensure that the Apache is being installed properly on your virtual machine. Now as you can see, everything is created. So if we want to see whether the box has been installed on your machine or not, so here you see this is the box that is present there. You can log into this using simple SSH. You can provide it username, passwords, but for that you'll have to modify the Vagrant file and you have to provide those things specifically. But for now, since we are using it for a testing purpose, you can just directly go into this. Now it will directly put you into the custom box that was created. So now if you say this, actually it was just above here. Yeah, so welcome to Ubuntu. This is the custom box that got installed at this point of time. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Now to show you since this was the folder that we actually specifically mentioned in our main.py, you can modify this particular name. You can keep anything you want. You just have to modify this particular part of code in the main.py. If you go to this, you can see that I'll show you a proper one. This thing is there, and so these are the 4 components present in your guest machine, in my machine, and these are the one present in the virtual machine. So this is properly almost the steps that you actually need to incur in order to, in case you want to create the machine. Now every time if you want to stop this thing, you have to run vagrant halt. So what it will do, it will shut down the machine. It's a normal shutdown procedure within that, so it will shut down this thing. At this present time, this is the box that is present on your machine. It's not working. If you try to do this, you're trying to get into it, but since it's down, you have to again run vagrant up in order to do that. And every time you run vagrant up, so every time you do vagrant up, it will again fetch the details from vagrant file and will modify everything accordingly, and it will check that up. There is one more point that I would like to make at this point of time. these provisions run once. Now this once periodicity is defined between the time Vagrant has been destroyed. So say for instance, if I do this particular part, do you want to destroy the default? If you do this, then it will actually remove everything and the provisioning will start again. But if you have made it halt, and suppose if you are running it again, Vagrant up, we'll have to wait for, because it takes a bit longer to run. So yeah. So if you see this, we did not destroy the machine, we just shut it down. So the provision files did not execute again. So if you want this thing to execute again, the provision files, if you want to install something else, if you want to modify something else as per the Vagrant file, you might have to run this. But otherwise it's a one-time activity. You can actually provide a periodicity within the Vagrant file. For that you'll have to mention that this particular thing should run always. So there has to be an argument which mentions that it should run always every time we do the Vagrant task. But in general case, it won't allow you to, it won't run unless you have destroyed the machine. So as you can see, I have this particular box which is Ubuntu 12.4.2 actually is installed properly on our machine. Thank you.